Yo, what up, guys? James from Bolt Bros here. I'm still kind of sick, still trying to get over things a little bit here, but we're back at it. Let's talk about this whole trade deadline. And it was pretty dead for us. So we'll talk a little bit about that, kind of my thoughts, things kind of that we're looking forward to at this point, and kind of where we are going to look at after this whole bye week and starting up against the Falcons this week. So, basically, just a couple notes that I wanted to point out. We could even talk a little bit about some of the trades that did happen that I kind of was hoping for. And once again, we're fully live, guys. So we'd love to be able to hear your questions, comments, everything like that. So love to be able to just kind of hear from you guys. But I know we added Jerry Atachu. It's kind of a blast from the past, but it's not really much of a major addition. It's more just assumed depth, death, depth. I couldn't say that for some reason. So I mean, who knows? I mean, he was solid for us in the last season for us, what, 6 years ago or whatever it was. But it's just another addition that we added to that. We added about $1.1 million to our payroll to have him on there since he's vet paid. So not much there at all. But it was a death signing for sure, George. Really didn't get a whole heck of a lot to really add to our whole team here, but it definitely Jerry is just more a depth signing for us more than anything. Just to go over a couple of the trades real quick that did happen. That TJ Hawkinson deal to the Vikings, man, that was an interesting one because first off, it's interdivision. TJ Hawkinson, I felt was going to be a kind of a staple position for or player for the Lions for the long haul. And I thought he could even, if there was a chance to even throw him to the Chargers, that'd be great. But I mean, Tom Telesco loves having his picks, and he wouldn't give up 4 picks for him for sure. So that's a big one. Chase Claypool, that was another one that a lot of guys have been chatting about trying to get for the Chargers. Didn't happen. Obviously, he got a second round pick out of that one to the Bears. Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins for a first round pick. I don't know. There's something more going on with that one, but that's pretty big. Once again, taking away somebody from our division and making the Broncos a little weaker. I know they did sign for, they traded also for Jacob Martin from the Jets for a 4th round pick in 24, and then exchanged for a 5th round pick for 24 too. So kind of a flip of picks there. So they took away, but then also added to the team. Calvin Ridley was a weird one to the Jags. I mean, he is suspended for the rest of the year, but once again, the Jags are thinking ahead. They're thinking, hey, who can we go after to be able to make this team better for us? They gave up a 5th round 23 pick and then a 2nd round in the 24 draft. So kind of crazy to be able to see those kind of moves out there. Calvin Ridley's been one of those guys that I always thought would be a good target to go after if you're thinking ahead. And good move for the Jags. KJ Hamler, for what we see, that was one guy that a lot of people were looking at to go after. No movement at all with the KJ Hamler side of things. So, but if interdivision trades are a thing, I mean, that would be one guy that I would like to have for the Chargers too. So, just to give you a history too, Tom Telesco's only traded once in 10 years for the deadline, and that was Desmond King to the Titans for a 6th round pick. I think if Desmond King, I was a big fan of his. He was a good cornerback for us. He was an X factor on special teams, returning punts for us. I think that was a stupid trade, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe there's something internally that they didn't like or whatnot. So, bottom line, that was just kind of an odd trade. But really, once again, no real significant moves out of the Jerry Atachu signing, which once again, we're going to dig in the free agency from what it seems like versus a trade. So, as in, if we're going to look into free agents, I've been a fan of Will Fuller. I don't know if anybody else there has chatted a little bit about Will Fuller. He's a speedy guy, but once again, does have injury concerns. He could stretch the field for us because we don't have a lot of speed on our offense. His last contract was roughly about a $10 million contract, 1-year deal with the Dolphins. And I think he had close to about $9 million of that fully guaranteed. Didn't even last 2 games for the Dolphins, but he's out there as a free agent. I think he could be a good guy to stretch the field for us. So if we're going to go free agency, that's where we're going to go. I mean, the thing about our wide receivers, and obviously Joshua Palmer has been out with the concussion. Seems like he's kind of doing some stuff on the sideline now. Parham's back too. doing a little bit of sideline work and everything also too. So we'll see what Keenan has. He hasn't practiced on Monday, and I don't expect a huge practice on a Monday. But that's the big thing is those we don't have Mike Will for at least 4 weeks. And so not having that downfield 50-50 kind of ball guy, it's going to be a little tougher for us. If Parham could come back and be in full shape for us, that helps us out a bit. But we'll see. Bigger note though is Keenan and Mike Williams, which is crazy to even hear and doesn't even seem to make sense for some reason. They've only had 13 snaps on field all year. What? What does that even mean? That's insane. So we really don't even know what this offense really is, if you really think about it now, that we don't even know how it is with Keenan and Mike Williams on the field. And we're in now, week 9, I believe now. What is it? Week 9? I don't know, whatever it is. It seems like the year is flying by, but so bigger concern if Keenan doesn't show up this week and play for us. Because I mean, who knows who's really our guy to go for. I know Eckler was chatting a little bit about Joshua Palmer, and he's a guy that you really need to pick up in fantasy. So it seems like he's going to be on there a little bit more. But my concern is that he hasn't really vibed enough with, route running with Herbert. So we'll see. Just to think if we're going to look at another free agency, Darrell Williams, the offensive tackle, would be more of a depth add. And I think it would only be an add if we really needed a guy at the tackle. So for instance, like for Pipkins, he's been out there and Pipkins ain't easy. I always say that. He's been playing through injuries and still being effective. Salyer's been effective for us too. So that's really one of those moves that we would make as a free agency if we really need the guy. For cornerback position, I was really looking at William Jackson, which ended up getting traded to the Steelers. And I think it's going to be for a late round pick. I was kind of hoping he was going to get let go by the Commanders and then add him to our team. But for the most part, JC Jackson's out for the season. We chatted about that about his patellar tendon, and he sounds like he's got a successful surgery. So long road to recovery for him. But Michael Davis, he's our guy, and I think he's going to do fine for us. I think he'll do well for us and even do better than what JC Jackson was currently doing. He knows the system. He's been in the system. So I think he'll be fine for us. So there is that idea of our team where maybe Dean Leonard or Jasir Taylor might be another guy that might even get a little bit more involved. Maybe since they're in the system and getting acclimated. I mean, both of them did make that play. And that's once again special teams where they forced that fumble and then got the recovery for that Broncos game to win that game for us in overtime. So you do good things on special teams, you get a little bit more looks on defenses and get a little bit more chances. As long as you're understanding the defense better through practice and such too. So it'll get you back on the field or get you in the field somewhere or another. So basically, I just kind of wanted to just kind of go over things that we have here. And now, once again, the Chargers historically have always been have always been, man, chat threads going wild. I love it. I love seeing it, guys. And we're going to go over you guys' questions and everything here too. I just wanted to kind of throw out my thoughts first, and then we'll kind of go over everything there too. And I'll go over the chat. The thing is, though, the Chargers as an organization is always next man up. It's a very, very rare that we get somebody at the trade deadline and push somebody in and get them in halfway through the season. Brandon Staley and I think just the organization, you could save and Santa Spanos, they've always been next man up. It's a very rare thing. Like we said, Tom Telesco traded only once and traded away talent in 10 years. So in the last 10 years, it's a rarity for us. So it's kind of disappointing because you think, hey, if they're trying to truly go all in, you would make a move at this time. But we'll see. Maybe they just feel like they have the right guys in place. I mean, to be determined. I mean, there are guys out there that are going to be free agents, and there's going to be even guys that potentially could get let go because maybe they didn't get traded too. So we'll see what happens. I know for us as fans, I mean, coming off of that Seattle debacle, basically, there's a lot of frustration with it, with our fan base, and we're frankly very, very frustrated too on what's going on here, and we expect a better record. We expect a better performance. As a comparison, we're 4-3 after 7 games. Last year, we were the same position after 7 games. So it's not like we got any better. It's not like we got any worse. We just really, bottom line, expected a stronger offense, and we or at least the same offense as last year. And we're at eighth. And last year we were, I think, fifth as offense. So we're starting to get worse in there. We're 11th in the league for scoring at 23.4 points per game. That's not good, not great. We just expected a stronger defense, which I feel stems from the offense being a little stagnant too, and play calling being an issue. So right now, as a defense, we're not great, but not bad. And I think we're a little bit better in a sense than last year. I mean, we're ranked 20th in total defense right now, but 31st in the league in points scored on us at 27. Yikes. That's harsh to look at. So our hopes was we were going to be a very dominant team. My hopes, even for the first 7 games of the season, I was hoping to get to 6-1, and that didn't happen. Now we're 4-3. We got 2 blown out losses and 1 versus the Chiefs. That was much closer, but my hopes is the bye week did us well, and we're able to correct our faults. My hopes is that we will be just much healthier, much better as a team, much better as individuals on the field, positional changes, getting the right guys in the right positions to be able to be more effective. Let's get those explosive plays to stop for this team. That is a big issue with this team so far. I mean, we've had, even to say, like with the Seattle game and them giving up those 70+ yard run from Kenneth Walker just after it seemed like we did something right and then we did something wrong immediately after. So it's just tough to be able to see that. So the second half, bottom line, for us gets a lot harder. We have to find a way to get 10 wins. Bottom line, that's my opinion. We have, what do we have? 10 games ahead of us now. We need to be 6-4. Is that correct? Yeah, 6-4 for the next 10 games. So positivity. Remember, we are 3-1 in the last 4 games. Let's just keep that momentum up, guys. We'll be fine for the rest of the season. Let's just get to 10 wins, and I think we have a good chance to be able to get things moving along for us. So, so far, I'm just going to kind of look after the trade deadline is done. Brandon Cooks was a guy that we talked a lot about. I know he was held out of practice for personal reasons. There were talks, but nothing came from the trade, so that is a dead deal so far. There are sometimes that there's these trades that can come in all of a sudden, and they could come in, because the paperwork was filed before the deadline, and then it still has to be, approved by the NFL to make it happen. So nothing really going on, to be honest, guys. And it's kind of frustrating in some ways, but I think the thing is that we do have a couple $1 million under our salary cap at the moment, based upon what I see in Sports Track and salary that we have here. I think that's just kind of more for emergency fund more than anything at this point. So we'll see kind of where it goes. But nothing changes once again after 10 years of Telesco era. So we are in the same position, boys. So let's just go over a couple comments here and everything with you guys. Sorry, I'm just going to just pick up my phone real quick. New Jersey Savage says, why would we pick up Cook? That was actually talking about Jared Cook. It's interesting thing about Jared Cook, man. He had a lot of drop passes at the wrong time, and that's what kind of ultimately ended his position with the Chargers. So, I mean, I get it. He's a system guy. He could fit really well for us. And I think that he could be a good addition, but I don't think it's a really necessary addition for us, more or less. So, LA Suckers, I love it. Why does it feel all bad? It's kind of tough, man, right? I mean, it's just for us, like I said earlier, we have high expectations for this team. We have the same record as what we had 7 games into the season last year. And, we knew what that team was last year. At least Herbert was on fire. He was going. Mike Williams, Allen, Eck, all of them were going. But it just seems like you feel like there's a trajectory of like the offense going downwards. And once again, look, we got injuries. I get it. Every team in the NFL has injuries. I get it. But the thing is, though, we just feel like there's a downward trajectory going with this team. And that's frustrating. That's a very frustrating thing. And as fans, we really hope to be able to see a lot more going on with this team. So Yeah, Carlos, Chargers. Yeah, we don't have to deal with Bradley Chubb anymore. I'll take it. I'll take it all day. Take it all day. Um, let's see here. Trade Bosa to KC. Hefe, KC, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at who he is. Um, yeah, the thing about it, us too, is that Bosa will be back, and I'm hearing there's a possibility he could be back for around Thanksgiving or basically the Cardinals game. So that could be a really good addition for us and really get us healthy again up front. So that would be interesting. That would be an interesting move. Yeah, Zach Benson. Josh Palmer, man, like Joshua Palmer, like I really came in hoping that he could be really that guy for us. And, it just seems like his route running is really off right now. And it just doesn't seem in sync. Like last year, he turned on in the second half. Now we hope this is the point where he figures it out. And this is the point where he goes back to Joshua Palmer of last year, second half, where he started figuring things out. So I'm really hoping that that's where the case. Joshua Palmer could be, because he needs to be the guy to step up when Mike Williams is out. We definitely need him out there. Rudy E90. This team has one of the best quarterbacks in the league, two receivers that are really good in Williams and Allen, and we figure, let's run the ball and throw it short all game. And that's the thing. This is after the bye here. This is what we hope to see. We hope to see that we could start getting the ball downfield a little bit more. Now, it's a little bit tougher when you don't have a guy like Mike Williams, but if you get Donald Parham back in and healthy, that will add that height and that extra target for us downfield. I'm not saying Parham's a super fast guy or anything, but he adds height to this team, because my concern is that there's a lot of smaller guys involved in this. Like somebody talked about DeAndre Carter and his speed being the fastest guy in I think he's the 11th fastest guy in the league, which is killer. I'd love to see that. And I love to be able to see that, but he's a very small guy too. Now, once again, is it Herbert having a lot of issues of trying to throw the ball downfield? And that's why we're averaging like 4.8 yards a pass. That's very, very low and very bad. I don't know. But bottom line, we need to be able to find the ability to throw the dang ball down the field. Now, Austin Eckler leads the league in yards after catch. Great, but that's our running back. We need to find a guy that could be that guy, that wide receiver, to get yards after catch, stretch the field, get the ball downfield for us. So, George Rodriguez, yeah, JT Woods be a pleasant surprise, right? I mean, once again, that's a third round pick, and we want to see those guys pan out. That would be an interesting thing to see if JT Woods could get out there and get involved. Dean Leonard is one of those guys. I know H4, Dean Leonard's the next cornerback up. There was a lot of hype about him in preseason. Now, once again, preseason hype is way different than being in game, and we saw what he did in game in preseason. But I think the thing is, though, it's going to be one of those things where, maybe it just clicks for the guy. And I think Dean Leonard has a lot of the attributes that you want in a quarterback, speedy guy, but he just needs to learn to turn his head, bottom line. And because he was getting just attacked with penalties because he's just not looking at the ball when the ball's coming his way. So hopefully that's being worked on, and that has been worked on for the last 7-8 weeks of this season. So, let's see here. Yeah, John Raleigh, man, where is Staley's defense? I mean, it's sad to see, man. And it's sad to see that we're just getting destroyed. I mean, with all these acquisitions and these trades yeah, even trades with Khalil Mack, we hoped that this defense was going to be extremely dominant. I was thinking top 5. Now, once again, we're at 20th in the league right now. I think we kept talking about in the offseason is we just wanted to have a mid-range defense. If we could get just a mid-range defense, that would be great. Our biggest issue is the explosive plays. Cut those down. This defense will look a lot better. It'll be ranked a lot better if rankings are something everybody wants to look at. We could cut down those long runs, those long throws. That's where this defense will start looking dominant, because there's a lot of times where we just see this defense and we're like, man, that was a pretty amazing play all around. And dominant here, dominant there, but then there's that one little like glitch in our head in our defense where we end up just giving away a 71-yard run or whatever it might be. So I think bottom line, we need to be able to find a way to be able to just cut those type of plays out. So we'll get there. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, boys. Fingers crossed. By the way, guys, smash the like button and everything too. I'm just kind of going through your guys's comments right now, kind of catching up based upon my comments about the trade deadline. Yeah, Jamar Stokes. Telesco never trades draft picks, man. You know what happened to the years of trade players? You know, that's kind of one thing I was thinking a little bit about. Where was that idea? And I don't think there was one player for player kind of trade that I've ever seen. And I have not seen that for a very long time. So that's a very antiquated way of trading, and it doesn't seem like it's really happening anymore. But yeah, Coupon Tom, man. Here he is. Andrew. I'll take trading Telesco and Spanos for some bacon wrap hot dogs out SoFi, man. Those look pretty good. Hot dogs, man. Yeah, Zach Benson, man. Carter's the only sub 4.5 guy in the team, not counting Guyton. We have the most talented passer in the league. I mean, I always think about DeAndre Carter and that catch that he made in the Chiefs game after Herbert got injured, and just that fourth down just catch, man. Holy moly. Everybody was stunned about that. I was stunned to see that catch and that throw. So crazy, right? Crazy. I mean, he's got to get involved somewhere or another, a little bit more jet sweeps or something. Just get the ball in his hand just to add that speed element a little bit too would be great. Yeah, Jamar Stokes, Elijah Moore would have been a perfect guy, man. You know, I mean, Denzel Mims is another guy that a lot of people chatted about too. Bottom line, man, you know, Daniel Popper talked a little bit about this on one of the other podcasts too. It was the he was talking a lot about Elijah Moore and how the thing about him asking for the ball and being that kind of that ball hawk guy and just trying to be that man. I mean, Garrett Wilson has been an absolute ball hawk for the Jets. And do you want to have a guy that might be a little bit more egotistical? He's a guy that wants to be able to just get the ball and to be able to kind of create maybe a little divide within the locker room. Now, the Chargers seem to be drafting a lot of high character based guys. And Elijah Moore, to me, on paper, looks like a guy that would be phenomenal. But do you want an ego added to this locker room? Would it disrupt a lot more elements of this team? Possibly. But I think the thing is, though, that would have been an awesome addition, and we would have had him on a rookie-based contract. So who knows, man? You know, Joker Hope, man. OC needs to be fired, man. I get it and understand that, but this offense isn't nearly as bad as I was really thinking. I mean, the Colts just ended up firing their offensive coordinator, which is really odd because I believe Frank Wright does all the play calling. So he had somebody else take the axe for him. So it's really, really odd to see that. But yeah, they just need to open up the playbook for Justin Herbert. I mean, Jamar Stokes basically says it perfectly. His arm is way too strong for this passing offense. And I agree, man. We need to see a lot more of those downfield throws. And we need to be able to see a lot more Justin Herbert throws. And those are a thing of beauty to watch. And everybody loves seeing that, man. Love seeing that. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got here? Here we go. Francisco Valenti, I think is how you pronounce the last name. Playoff teams are making more moves right now. Chargers are looking more and more like pretenders instead of contenders. I'm going to go back to that point how we've only had Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on the field for 13 snaps all season. So you start kind of breaking that down and you think, do we really have the offense in place? Do we really have we really seen what this team really can be? Now, injuries get involved with every team. I get it. That's just the thing of that's the nature of the NFL, bottom line. So not making moves is one thing. I get it. But we made a ton of moves in the offseason, which is uncharacteristic for this team to be able to sign that many people and spend that much money. So I think there's kind of a level of like, is it just not meshing yet? Is the system not meshing for them? Is it the injuries? There's a lot of different excuses that we could throw out there. But I think the one thing is, though, we just need to be able to hopefully get Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back on the field. Fingers crossed. That will help things out. that'll give basically that safety net for Herbert to be able to feel more comfortable throwing the ball downfield for everybody. So we will see. Defense, I think that's a little bit of a different situation. Joey Bosa being out, Khalil Mack being who he is. I think he's a stud, absolute stud right now for us. JC Jackson being gone, that's tough. But I think that with Michael Davis, I think he'll do fine. Vato will do well for us. Yeah, Denzel Mims for a fifth round. That would be killer, right? You know, it's interesting. The Jets are really just stocking up on wide receivers right now. They're going to be playing the Bills this weekend. So we'll see how that one goes. FTR, my friend. Dopest crew. That's true, my friend. Oh, man. So, Francisco, I'm wondering if Herbert is still hurting. It feels like they're purposely not making him throw deep. Yeah. And, you got to think any rib injury that you do have, man, it's tough to be able to throw your body into a long pass. And it really, really aches a lot. And he has been getting a couple more hits per game of recent weeks. So maybe that's something that's kind of being the issue right now, is that he's just having a hard time throwing the ball downfield. Or once again, maybe the receivers are just not getting downfield, bottom line. Let's see. Spanos must have guaranteed Tom his job next year if we tank for Peyton. Well, Zach Benson, I don't know if it's a tank situation. I one of our followers here, he hits me up every now and then, and he talks a little bit about, like, he's tired of kind of the negativity, and I get it. There's positivity that we can look at, but there's a lot of negativity that we have had since the Seahawks loss, and also now even free agency, trade deadline. But I'm going to hang my hat on it that we're 3-1 after the last 4 weeks. We do have a very tough road ahead of us, and we do have some system issues here. And I do think that my hopes is with this bye that we end up really gelling our players together. Now, once again, JC Jackson will be out. Now we're going to have Vato in. When Vato played against, I believe it was the Bronco game, they only gave it, I think Russell Wilson only had, 13 passing yards, which actually ended up being negative because of the amount of sacks that we ended up having on him. So that game shifted when JC Jackson was out. My hopes is that Vato comes out and balls out for us and really helps out that half, or I should say that third of the field. So we'll see, and right, John, at least we're not the Raiders. And I, the thing about it is the Raiders came out of their bye last week, and guess what? They got smoked. They got straight up smoked. They only got over the 50-yard line. I think it was like 3 minutes left of the fourth quarter. I mean, they just came out so flat. That's beyond flat. And that was the first shutout that they've had as a team, I think, since like 2014 or something stupid like that. So my hopes is that we don't do that. My hopes is that we change out some players. My hopes is that I'll say, and I'll call out a player too, Jerry Tillery is one of the guys that I think doesn't need to be on the defense. I think we need to put in Morgan Fox a little bit more, or Christian Covington. We need to put guys that are out there a little bit more, that are not, just sitting there and taking in a little bit more punishment. If you've looked at some of Jerry Tillery's tape, I mean, there's a lot of times that he just looks like he's not adding effort to his position. He seems to kind of give up on his effort. He's very, very simple to where he likes to bull rush, and then he'll do some real late spin to where it's like it was ineffective even trying that. So I think that's one of the guys that they have to be looking at. And so we'll see where that goes. That's one player that I think that needs to shift around. So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out for you. But yeah, man, Callahan has been awesome for us, Zach. I mean, he has been an absolute lockdown guy for us. I mean, he's always been a very talented cornerback. He's been very effective where he's at and when he plays, but the issue with him is injuries. And so far, so good. I'm just going to keep saying fingers crossed. Let's go. Let's go. So, and, once again, we're just barely into November, guys. So I think that we got a lot of things moving along for us. We obviously have the Falcons ahead of us. It's just a small idea of me looking at the Falcons. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. If you guys watched that last game against the Panthers, to be honest, Falcons were pretty lucky to win that game in overtime. The Panthers, once again, my guy, DJ Moore, got that long touchdown to basically tie the game. Wow. I was thinking this is a wrap, game over, kick the field goal, be up 1 point, game over. They missed the field goal. Goes to OT. Panthers get a second chance to win the game on a field goal. Missed that field goal. And then basically the Falcons ended up getting a field goal with Younghoe Ko, who is once again a kicker that's haunting the Chargers and letting him go as one of the best kickers in the league now. So it's going to be an interesting game this weekend, boys. And we'll have a whole tomorrow. I think we're going to be meeting with a podcast for the Falcons. We will chat about that and talk heavily about that. So, Sue, Arturo Garcia, man, he's a guy that likes money, and 10 million is probably what his minimum asking price is, in my opinion. We don't really have that money. Now, once again, we're about a halfway point or close to a halfway point within the season. That figure goes down, but I think he just wants to get paid, my friend. So I don't think that we would really add him. Because we did add Austin Johnson to that position. We did add Bash to that position. We spent a lot for both of those. So that's kind of a tough add all around. Willie, that's a good point, man. The LA Chargers need to improve their offensive line. To be honest, man, like our O-line is pretty solid, and I think that we've done well with it. I think that we're having a lot of new guys kind of getting involved in it. Zion Johnson had a little bit of a bad game against the Seahawks with penalties. I think Jamari Sawyer, he's pretty solid for us for the most part, and actually is the highest ranked rookie lineman this year so far, based upon PFF, if you want to even acknowledge their scoring strategy. But they're doing pretty good. And Trey Pipkins, he's been pretty serviceable. He's kind of been a little shaky recently, but I think that has a lot to do with the ankle injury, which once again, I hope that he becomes a little healthier with this bye week. But I think that our O-line is actually pretty good. Now, and going back on your comment there, plus the pass rush defense. Yeah, and I agree. Having Joey Bosa, not having that guy on the outside is a problem. I do think Drew Tranquil has been an extremely bright side for our defense. And I do think Derwin James needs to get more involved in the box play. He needs to be a little bit more closer to the line. He needs to be a little bit more attacking with rushes. I think he could be a little bit better for us all around in that aspect. So Xander Horvath, going back with your comment there, Willie, use Xander Horvath on 3rd and 1. I like the idea. I think that, what did he have? 2 touchdowns in his first 2 games in the NFL, with just kind of a small rollout out of the backfield to the end zone. I think he was being utilized really well. So I think that's one thing that we need to do. So, and he could definitely be used on those short yardage situations. Please don't give it to Sony Michel on a 3rd and 1 again. That's just frustrating to watch. So Hines was traded from the Colts. I heard that was going to be an option, and he was traded to the Bills. Devin Singletary has had some pretty good games. Hines to me is still kind of a 2-back. The thing is, though, with them, that they have James Cook there, I believe, too. And then they also have another good back who was from Utah. So, man, they're really building up on that, aren't they? They're really building up on those running backs. Interesting to see. But the Bills are an absolute wagon right now. So they got Nyheim Hines there, James Cook, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. Wow. What a running back room right there, guys. What a running back room for them. But long season, my guys. We'll see how it goes. Long season all around. So Zach Moss was traded to the Colts during the Bills trade. Oh, so they traded him off too then, huh? Interesting. Well, that's an interesting one. So Zach Moss is going to the Colts. And I liked him coming out of Utah. I thought he was a good running back all around. So very good. Very, very good. But any other questions? Any other comments? Anything else you guys want to talk about? I had hoped that maybe there was some sort of trades thrown out there by this time that might have just taken a little bit more time to be able to go through the NFL to get, um, agreed to, I guess. Um, so yeah, it sounds like Bills with that trade was the last one to get in before the deadline. So interesting. Yeah. So that's actually the first time I've seen a player for player kind of trade with a Zach Moss and the Nakeem Himes trade. Interesting. The thing with Himes, I think he adds a lot more to the pass game, more than the run game, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But cool. Yeah, I think we should have got more, my friend. Aaron Campbell, that probably would have been good, man. Easy GG, man. Man, can't believe this. Didn't sign a wide receiver, O-line help. That, and I chatted a little bit about some free agency guys. Like I kept saying, Will Fuller is one of those guys to think about. He has some injury issues, which we don't want that to happen, but that is one of those things that he's a speedy downfield guy and can make catches downfield, stretch the field for us, and that's what we really need too. And O-line help. There are guys out there in free agency that could be a help for us. I think the thing is, though, with our O-line, it's pretty solid. I mean, I think we give up under just a tad bit over 1 sack a game right now. Not bad at all. And I think the big thing is, though, we're kind of getting out of our rhythm early in the game, that we're having a hard time to be able to get the run game going, truly. So, I mean, we've given up deficits immediately out of the last 3 games, I believe it is now. So when you start having that going, it's tough. It's tough. Will Fuller retired? I don't know. I didn't hear that one, man. That's something else if that's the case, because it trips me out. Maybe it's one of those things where he's just tired of being injured, which I get it. That's kind of how Andrew Luck kind of ended up retiring, because he was just like, hey man, like I'm just gonna give up because I don't want to keep going through rehab and I'm tired of it. I am straight up tired of it. So I know he was on injured reserve. I don't know if he's retired officially, or maybe he did say something that he's retired, but either way, man, that would be something else if he was. I mean, he got his money at that point. So, but yeah, LA Suckers, man, I would take 6-4 at this point. Absolutely, my friend, dude. The thing is, though, look, I'm looking at it like this. If we could just get to 10-7, I think we'd be at a good position to be able to get to the playoffs, because there's a lot of cluster of teams. I've been saying that either we got a lot of really good teams or a lot of really bad teams. And we have a lot of teams right now that are just like fighting and beating each other up, and teams that shouldn't beat these certain teams, like we losing to the Jaguars. Remember when they were like 2-2 after they beat us, and everybody's like, wow, the Jags are going to be the team. And guess what? Now they're 2-6. Like, it's just really weird. The Jets are at this trajectory that everybody's like, wow, it's great. And then they end up losing a game last week, looking bad. Zach Wilson throwing a lot of picks, bad. Now they're playing against the Bills. That's going to go bad for them too. So it's just one of those things that there's a lot of good teams, a lot of bad teams. Maybe that makes sense to me, but those are something that I think they're trying to figure out. So I think 10 wins is kind of the key for us at this point. So looking at the record, I think it's definitely doable. I would hope to be able to find a couple of those games that we might end up losing to be able to turn into wins for us. So I'm really wondering if we're looking at OBJ for return for December. He really wants to be in LA and on a winning team. If we can win November, maybe he wants to look at us for a signing. Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know what kind of money he's going to want, but that would be an interesting thing to be able to see all around. So, yeah, guys, man, hit the like button too, by the way. We love to be able to see those likes. It kind of helps us out with our algorithm here. Keeps the flow going for us. It gets a lot of more viewers coming in here all around. So you guys could hit that like button. That'd be awesome. Awesome. So appreciate you guys all around, man. I'm glad that you guys are all in here, but I'm just going to kind of wrap up this video all around. And bottom line, what I wanted to say is my hopes is this bye week really helped us out. It really helped us just get things going for us. It really would hope that they're going to look over every position, every player on this team, and find where the fit could be that could shift this team. My hopes is that we're going to be a lot healthier. Once again, I think that's the thing that's going to be bigger for us this week. My hopes is that we are going to come out and do what we expected this team is going to be as a defense, as an offense. My hopes is that we're going to just go out there and look like a very complete team and find this first complete win game this week. Hoped, fingers crossed on all of that, guys. I really just want to be able to see us get things going this week for us. And I do not want to see a flat game, because if a flat game does happen for us this week, it's going to get dicey here, bros. It's going to be wild. So, but once again, guys, man, I just wanted to say thanks for chiming in. I'm here for you. That's right, Aaron Campbell. Bolt up, still ride or die. Bolt up, don't punt. Yeah, my man. Let's keep it going, guys. Love it, guys. Appreciate you guys. We'll keep you guys updated if anything does change for any sort of trade that does magically decide to come through or whatnot for us. But this moment seems like it's pretty clean for us right now. And once again, another trade deadline gone by with no additions. So once again, guys, James from Bolt Bros. Appreciate you guys. Let's go.